Cultivation theory is a communication theory that suggests long-term exposure to media, especially television, influences how people perceive reality. It argues that individuals who consume a large amount of media may develop beliefs and attitudes that reflect the messages they see, even if those messages do not accurately represent real life. According to this theory, repeated exposure to certain themes, ideas, or portrayals can shape public perceptions of topics such as crime, relationships, and social norms. Cultivation theory highlights how media content can gradually alter viewers' worldviews, often reinforcing existing social and cultural narratives. Now let's look at some examples of cultivation theory in action. One example of cultivation theory is how frequent exposure to crime-related television shows may lead viewers to believe that the world is more dangerous than it actually is, a phenomenon known as the mean world syndrome. Another example is the way media portrayals of beauty standards influence perceptions of attractiveness, making people believe that certain physical traits are more desirable than others. Additionally, repeated depictions of success through wealth in television and movies may lead individuals to associate financial status with personal worth. These examples show how media consumption can shape attitudes and expectations over time. Now let's explore some strengths of cultivation theory. One strength of cultivation theory is that it highlights the long-term impact of media on societal beliefs, showing that exposure to repeated messages can influence attitudes and perceptions. This theory provides insight into how cultural norms and stereotypes are reinforced through entertainment and news media. Another advantage is that it encourages critical thinking about media consumption, making people more aware of how their views may be shaped by external influences. Additionally, cultivation theory has been supported by studies showing correlations between heavy media consumption and altered perceptions of reality, making it a valuable tool for analysing media effects. However, despite its strengths, the theory has also faced some criticisms. One criticism of cultivation theory is that it assumes all viewers interpret media messages in the same way, ignoring individual differences in background, experiences, and critical thinking skills. Another limitation is that it does not account for other influences, such as personal experiences, education, and social interactions, which also shape people's perceptions of reality. Additionally, some researchers argue that cultivation theory overstates the power of media, as many individuals can distinguish between fictional portrayals and real-world events. While cultivation theory provides a useful framework for studying media influence, it may not fully explain all aspects of how people form their beliefs. Now let's consider some alternative theories. One alternative to cultivation theory is uses and gratifications theory, which focuses on how individuals actively select and interpret media based on their personal needs and motivations. Instead of assuming that media shapes beliefs passively, this theory suggests that people use media to fulfill specific purposes, such as entertainment, information, or social connection. Another alternative is agenda-setting theory, which argues that media influence is strongest in determining which topics are considered important, rather than shaping people's specific beliefs. A third alternative is social learning theory, which explains how individuals learn behaviours by observing and imitating media portrayals. While cultivation theory focuses on long-term media effects, these alternative theories provide different perspectives on how media interacts with audiences.